Okay, folks. So I've gotten a lot of questions about how basically how I shoot pistols so well, or just how I shoot pistols in general, because it kind of might go against the modern, tactical kind of doctrine or accepted way of things. How pistol shooting should be these days. Where everyone is doing the whole isosceles stance, and there's endless debates about which stance you should have, how you should be gripping, how your arms should be, what kind of pistols you should use, blah 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 blah, all those things. Um, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you which way is better, I guess, or the best one for every single purpose and every single application for every single person all the time forever, because I really don't think there is such a thing. But I just wanted to show people how I shoot and how that gets me the results that you may have seen in some of my other shooting videos, and how I'm able to make that work, basically, and how I'm able to get such, at least for me, what I consider pretty nice accuracy with pistols, considering pistols are harder to shoot for most people than rifles are. So I got a few notes here. I'm just going to cover the basic things that I had to write some notes because the way I shoot now is just so natural to me. It's hard. It's hard for me to consciously remember each individual step that I take and break it down for somebody who maybe want to adopt or do some of the things that I do to be as accurate as I am. And the big thing I want to make too is a point to make is the philosophy behind my shooting, and that is it's very easy to shoot fast. Anybody can shoot fast, but shooting well, shooting accurately, shooting consistently is a skill that takes a lot of practice. Like for me, it's taken years of practice, constant practice. Like almost every weekend, I go out there and go shoot. At least every month, go out there and go shoot. With all various kinds of pistols. I'm not sitting on just one platform. I'm talking every single pistol that I've owned, I've shot a lot of. And so that's why my skill set tends to be a little bit more generalized. It's not super specialized towards one platform. And that's just for me because I like shooting everything. I don't like to stick at just Glocks or just 1911s or just revolvers. I like to spread it out. So the point is, it's very easy to shoot fast. Anybody can do that. You'll have plenty of other YouTube channels out there who, they're all flashy. They're all, bang, 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 just blowing the targets away, right? But for me, I get more enjoyment out of consistent shooting, accuracy, groups, marksmanship, that kind of thing. So when I get a really tight group at, say, 25 yards offhand with a pistol, I'm very happy with myself versus, I don't know, shooting all within an A zone at like 7 yards in a certain time limit. That doesn't appeal so much to me. And so my pistol shooting is more tailored to what I like to do, and that's having consistent, accurate shooting at long distances. So that may not be for everybody, but that's just my philosophy. I think you should, of course, be as fast as you can be, but still also maintain the accuracy that you need to accomplish whatever objective that you're trying to do, whether it be tight groups or ventilating some guy who's looking to make your day bad, right? So with that, let's cover a few things. So let's start off here in my notes here. I got stance. So stance is obviously a very controversial thing. There's been so many iterations of different kinds of stances and how you should stand. I have always been taught from the very get-go that Weaver stance is the way to go for pretty much all the shooting that I do, and it's never let me down. I've never had an issue with it. I've never had any kind of rotational issues with it. It's never let me down. So that's what I use, is a Weaver stance. Now, exactly to what degree, to how much your feet should be spread apart and how far back you should be, it varies per person, and I don't really think there's a hard, fast rule for the perfect amount of distance that you should have. But to me, it makes total sense to be in a Weaver stance, because if anybody who's ever been in like some kind of martial arts, sparring art, something like that, right? Your stance is always typically going to be not straight on, but at a bit of an angle, right? That's all the things that I have ever done. And it just feels very natural to me and very supportive to be in a weaver stance. So that's what I prefer to do. I know there's endless debates out there about isosceles versus weaver, blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to discuss that. I'm just here to say that's what I do, and that's what works for me. When it comes to sights, so I got my Glock brand Glock here. It's been safety checked already. Sights and aiming. So for me, I'm cross-eyed dominant. So that means this is my right hand. I am right hand dominant, but left-eyed dominant. So if anybody's ever watched like Nuttin' Fancy and how he shoots his pistols, I'm very much the same way. So you'll see me being up like this, but my head is, as you can see, more pointed this way versus being straight on with someone who is same eye dominant. It's more the head is more straight on with the pistol. For me, I crane my head over a little bit like that. Now, there are some people who argue you should bring the pistol to you rather than craning your head over. And to an extent, yes, that's true. You should. I don't think you should, have your head down like this or like this, anywhere like that. It should be somewhere comfortable and natural in the middle. That's what works for me. And then the whole one eye versus two eye open thing. I have mostly practiced with just one eye. So I'll have one closed just like this, just like that. And some people advocate that you should have both eyes open because they argue that's how your eyes are going to be in a high stress defensive situation. So I think you should practice with both, but for me, my most accurate shooting has always been just with the one eye closed, one eye open, focusing on front sight. That's how it's always been for me. Now, grip. So grip is also another one of those things that has 1,000,001 techniques. There's 1,000,000 different ways to hold your pistol. For me, I always like to hold it pretty much just as you see here. Try to get it high up and make it that kind of natural, I guess, just like that. Then my other hand comes up here. I typically like to hold it just like that. At least for Glocks anyways. This is very, very general, but I'm saying I'm doing this for what I would do with Glocks because that's what people know. So I'll typically have it just like that. Thumbs down. I don't have my thumbs like all the way up here. I don't do any of that. I don't teacup it. I like to have basically the bottom of the trigger guard right here. I like to have it on my index finger of my support hand. So resting, as you can see right there, and just kind of use that as the main force that's keeping the pistol up. I don't use this hand for, I don't grip it super, super tight where I got white knuckles or anything like that. I don't grip it super, super tight. If I'm going for accuracy and like just pure groups, it's so light. I keep it so light in my hands that if you really wanted to, you could probably just knock it right out of my hand if you're really, really meant to. So I'm typically very, very relaxed with my grip. And like I said, using the support hand mostly to keep it up and kind of guide it around, basically. Get me stable to where I need to be. So that's my grip. Now, if I'm shooting faster and accuracy is not as much of a concern, I will grip the pistol a little bit tighter just for better recoil or control. Because I will tell you right now, the way I'm shooting for accuracy, just for groups, not holding it very tight, holding it kind of loose and just let the gun do its thing, it doesn't have a whole lot of recoil or control. At least I don't really try to control it that much. I just kind of let the pistol do its thing. And that's gotten me some looks from range officers before because I'll have certain pistols that they think are chambered in 9mm, but are actually chambered in 45 or 40, and they have a little bit more recoil, so they'll typically see the gun like this, and then I'll just let it go, and it'll pop up like up here, or just up quite a ways, and they'll say, hey, you need to control your recoil, sir. And it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing, just leave me alone. Anyway, so yeah, I have two types of grips for accuracy groups shooting, slow fire basically, and then another grip for fast, rapid, where accuracy is less of a concern. So let's move on to trigger and where your finger should go. So for me, I have found on different pistols, at least for me anyways, my finger tends to rest on different parts of the trigger. And that aids my ability to shoot more accurately with a wider range of pistols if my finger is on a different part of the trigger. So there's some people who advocate that you should have your finger on the same part of the trigger, same part, consistent all across the board. That has not worked for me. I find it extremely uncomfortable to do that with some pistols. For instance, Glocks, right? So I'll give you just an example. The way I shoot 1911s, that's what I mostly have grown up with, is using basically the either the very, very front of your index finger, trigger finger, or kind of slightly back on the pad, but not in the middle of the pad. So I'll typically have it, so I can get that in there, just like that, right? And basically it's just a straight pull back, because 1911 triggers are straight back. That is extremely uncomfortable for me to do that for any amount of time with Glock trigger. Glocks and a lot of other striker fire triggers, I find myself having to wrap my finger around like this. So it's more of a hook rather than a straight press back. And for me, I find wrapping around like this is the most comfortable and most consistent, most accurate, fast way for me to shoot Glock pistols and other striker pistols in general. So I don't necessarily believe that there is a one size fits all position for your trigger finger. Now, some people would say, oh, that's a training issue. You need to be very consistent. You need to train a lot more with all the pistols that you do have, blah, 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 blah. That may be true to an extent, but like I said, my skill set is very generalized. It's very, it leans more towards 1911s because that's what I have the most experience with, but it's generalized, and I'm able to shoot pretty much any weapon that I pick up with some modicum of skill and ability. It's not like, dudes who are heavily specialized in a Glock can't shoot anything else, and I've seen this happen. They can't shoot anything else because they can't figure it out. Their muscle memory, their training, their experience just doesn't allow them to change and adapt to shoot anything else other than what they have specifically trained with. So I prefer to have a more general skill set. So let's see. Lastly, I have breathing. So with breathing control is very important if you want to get accurate shots on target. For rapid fire, it matters a little bit less, but because if you're trying to apply all the breathing processes that I'm going to explain here in a second for slow fire, and you try to apply that to every single shot in rapid fire, you're going to be hyperventilating. Basically, you're just as you're pulling every single shot, and that's not what I would call practical, and it's kind of silly. So I'm just going to go over for slow fire for what works for me for my accurate fire. For me, what you will notice is if you're having, you're lining up your target, right? You got your good stance, you got a good grip, nice, arms are not locked like this, but they're kind of loose and relaxed, but also not. I don't like chicken winging like this or having straight out. This is what a lot of like tactical dudes like to do. Is they'll have their arms like this and they'll say you should go straight out, straight out just like that. I don't like to do that. I'm more relaxed like this, literally just like this. Bam. So, the way breathing works into this is you'll notice that if you work up your heart rate, if you start breathing a lot, your sight picture is just going to be wobbling all over the place. And this is especially noticeable if you use a pistol dot, because that pistol dot is just going to be all over the freaking place. You will never be able to get it just perfectly sitting still, because that's the natural movement of your body. So the way to mitigate this, to get very consistent groups and very accurate shooting for slow fire, is make a conscious effort to breathe in and then breathe out. So on your breathing out, you'll notice that your sight picture actually gets quite a bit more stable. And that's when you want to start to apply the constant even trigger pull pressure all the way through until it breaks. So that is, that's the meat of it, that's the core of it. Basically, it sounds very simple, but in practice, it is, it takes practice, to say the least. So I don't know how many times I've taught so many people how to shoot pistols this way, and it generally takes them more than one session to really grasp that kind of fundamental thing when it comes to the breathing and really recognizing what they are doing when they're shooting a pistol. It may seem very obvious, It may seem like, oh, this is simple stuff, but until you actually get that muscle memory down and you get some rounds down range for new people, it is not it's not obvious at all. So it's just like any other skill. It takes a little bit of education, a lot of practice, and maybe some teaching and coaching along the way, so you can have an outside person tell you basically what you're doing wrong, because you may not be able to notice it yourself. And so we'll get on to one other thing that I run into all the time when it comes to pistol shooting is people that flinch. And this flinch is basically their mind and their body anticipating the recoil of the shot going off. So right before the break of the trigger, the gun will just dip down, and it happens so fast that most people don't even realize they're doing it. And some people who are watching them shoot, just literally like standing right there in front of them watching them shoot, can't even see it. That's how fast it happens. But the one way people actually can notice it is look where their rounds are going. If the rounds are going way, way low on the target, or in some cases I've seen literally bouncing off the ground directly in front of them, it was that bad, you can start to see and correct that. And another way to correct that I've seen is to put like snap cap dummy rounds intermingled with their real ammo inside a magazine. So they'll go and rack it, and they got a live round, right? You don't tell them where the dummy rounds are. They do a live round, boom, 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 right? And then they get to a dummy round, and what they'll do is you'll see that every time. They'll just dip, just a little bit. But when you do that with a dummy round, obviously the gun doesn't go off, so there's no report, there's no recoil, etc. They start to pick that up immediately. Just boom, they start to see, oh, that's what I'm doing, I'm flinching. And this is not caliber dependent at all. This can happen with 22s, it can happen with 380s, it can happen with 9mm, 45, 40, 10mm, whatever caliber you choose. This flinching can happen with any gun, any caliber, revolvers included. I've seen it all the time. And it's extremely hard to overcome, because first they have to recognize that they're doing it. Two, they have to understand how to overcome that. And three, they have to practice a lot of practice. Flinching is one of the big things that I struggled with when I was growing up, because let's be honest here, a 1911 45 does have a significant amount of recoil, and that was my main issue shooting it was the flinching. It was bad. It was really bad. I would say it probably took me around a year and a half, 2 years, just constantly practicing to get over that and to realize what I was doing. I will say though that revolvers definitely helped get me over that hump, because with revolvers you have a lot more control, obviously, of the cylinder, and you're able to put rounds in and have empty chambers and so on and so forth. So that's a discussion for another day. So with that, basically this is what I've overviewed is how I shoot pistols accurately. I may not be the fastest pistol shooter out there, but I can pretty much tell you that among pretty much almost everyone that I've shot with in person, that I am one of the better pistol shots among us. And I'm able to get, consistent, accurate groups pretty much all the time. And, I've had my off days, of course. I'm not going to say on a professional level or anything like that, but, when my good standard of accuracy for a pistol at 25 yards standing is 2 inches, that's my standard of I shot well, the pistol is well made, the ammo is good, all those factors combined, able to get consistent and repeatable 2-inch groups at 25 yards standing with a pistol. To me, that's my standard of good accuracy. So that's what I hold myself to, and that's what I like to see. If I can get that, awesome. If I don't get that, because sometimes I'll end up at 2.5 or I'll end up at 3 inches at 25, I'm like, okay, I got some more work and some more practice to do. Because for the most part, pistols are more accurate, way more accurate, mechanically speaking, than most people are able to shoot them. So knowing that, I want to get as tight and consistent groups as I can at longer ranges, further on, and just keep on improving. So that's that's really how I shoot pistols. I probably missed something here or there because, like I said, this is the whole process that I've done. I'm doing this for, since I was 10, so almost about 20 years now that I've been shooting pistols constantly, consistently. So, like I said, it's so second nature to me now. It's consciously hard for me to remember all the individual steps that I do to get to the level of performance that I'm at. So, um, hopefully, some people can and maybe adapt or adopt something that I do, or use it to diagnose what they're doing wrong and maybe pick up a few things along the way, because everyone's individual style is going to be different. And I know for me, anyways, I like to pick up the little good things that work in a lot of different techniques, and form my own technique, and refine what I do myself. Find out what works for you, basically, and find out what doesn't. Use the things that do work for you, throw out the things that don't. And if it achieves the results that you want for what you're trying to do, hey, all the better, right? So, but I just wanted to show people basically what I do, and how I'm able to get there. So, it is a little bit of technique, it's a little bit of education, a little bit of training, but it's mostly practice. It's like, I want to say 80-90% practice, that you just have to go out there and get the rounds count, get out there and just do it. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. And if you guys got any questions or anything, absolutely let me know, and hopefully I can help you get better at your pistol shooting, because shooting pistols is not easy. I can tell you that it is not easy. So, anyways, that's it, and we'll catch you next time.